Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 10th. I'm Jon Weigell, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Brian Niccol was supposed to be Starbucks' savior after his legendary turnaround at Chipotle, but 1 year later from taking the job, the stock has fallen 7%, while the market rose 19%, and same-store sales at the coffee shop are still declining. Today, we're exploring why even miracle worker CEOs may not be able to fix operational issues overnight, and how Brian Niccol's Back to Starbucks campaign became a $500 million experiment that just hasn't quite hit yet. We'll get to that and the biggest headlines in business and tech right after this. All right, to start us off today, OpenAI is partnering with studios Vertigo Films and Native Foreign on Critters, an animated feature film to showcase AI's filmmaking capabilities. AI is officially going Hollywood in that sense. The goal is to churn it out in about 9 months. However, animated features normally take 3 years to make. And the movie with OpenAI will be on a budget under $30 million for a theatrical release in 2026. It'll employ human voice actors and artists who will sketch drawings that OpenAI tools will use, but I would be surprised if it didn't meet a ton of pushback from creatives who would rather not be replaced by any sort of robot. Next, in the book world, Barnes & Noble will acquire Books, Inc. for $3.25 million. The 174-year-old California chain filed for bankruptcy in January, citing the pandemic and changing consumer habits. Under Barnes & Noble, though, which plans to open 60 new stores this year, it'll keep its branding and operate its 9 stores. So Barnes & Noble is still doing all right in the book world. Over to StubHub now. StubHub Holdings is looking to IPO at a valuation of about $9 billion after delaying plans to go public earlier this year amid economic uncertainties. I'm sure you're aware of those. The ticket platform was founded in 2000 after CEO Eric Baker had trouble scoring tickets to Broadway's The Lion King, and look how far they've come. Scalpers rejoice. And finally here, leased warehouse space shrank in the U.S. last quarter. That's the first time that's happened in a quarter in 15 years. Warehouse jobs are, in turn, down by about 27,000 jobs year over year. America's new trade policies are a prominent factor in all of this.
What the hell is going on right now? And why is it happening like this? At Wired, we're obsessed with getting to the bottom of those questions, and maybe you are too. I'm Katie Drummond, the global editorial director of Wired, and I'm hosting our new podcast series, The Big Interview. Each week, I'll sit down with some of the most interesting, provocative, and influential people who are shaping our right now. Listen to The Big Interview right now in the same place you find Wired's Uncanny Valley podcast.
And for more stuff like that, you can subscribe to the show, and we'll have headlines for you tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But today, we're talking about Starbucks, the coffee chain that hired a miracle worker CEO, supposedly, and discovered that even miracles take longer than Wall Street's attention span. Let's dig into it. So Brian Niccol took over Starbucks exactly 1 year ago with the kind of fanfare usually reserved for superhero movies. The stock jumped 25% on the day of his appointment. Investors were convinced that the man who saved Chipotle from its food poisoning scandals could rescue Starbucks from its own self-inflicted wounds. 12 months later, where we are today, the stock has fallen 7%, while the S&P 500 has risen 19%. Same-store sales are still declining, customers are still complaining about wait times, and baristas are still going on strike. Turns out even corporate rock stars can't fix decades of operational problems with a few PowerPoint presentations and a catchy slogan. Welcome to the reality of trying to turn around a $100 billion company that forgot how to make coffee shops feel welcoming anymore, especially here in the United States. So let's start here with what Niccol inherited, because Starbucks wasn't just struggling, it was actively alienating its core customer base before he came into office. By July 2024, the company had reported 6 straight quarters of declining sales. Customers were complaining about long wait times, a buggy app, and understaffed stores that couldn't consistently deliver basic coffee orders, or sometimes not so basic coffee orders. Niccol's response to this was his Back to Starbucks campaign, a comprehensive plan to return the chain to its roots as a so-called third place. The strategy covered pretty much everything from barista dress codes to mobile ordering systems, promising to restore the cozy cafe vibe that made Starbucks famous. On paper, the plan looked really solid. Reduce wait times to 4 minutes or less, bring back the self-serve condiment bar, add more comfortable seating, cut 30% of menu items to simplify operations. The company even started requiring baristas to write messages on cups again, a practice that disappeared in 2020. But execution has been messier. The cup writing mandate has created additional stress for already overworked baristas. Meanwhile, Niccol implemented changes that seemed designed to frustrate rather than fix problems. He introduced a new dress code requiring specific color and pant styles. He mandated that corporate workers return to Seattle offices 4 days a week while continuing to work remotely from California himself with a private jet once in a while. These moves sparked employee walkouts and union strikes at over 300 locations. The financial results tell a story that contradicts Niccol's optimistic public statements here. Despite claiming that a turnaround is ahead of schedule, the company suspended its annual forecast through fiscal 2025, citing the CEO transition and current business state. That's corporate speak for we got no idea what's going on over here. The company has committed to investing $500 million on labor over the next year for its green apron service model, but analysts warn this could deepen margin resets more than investors expected. I mean, look at it this way. When your turnaround plan requires $500 million in additional spending while sales are declining, the math gets uncomfortable pretty quickly. Wall Street's patience is wearing thin, with some good reason. Analysts originally expected same-store sales to grow again by the second quarter of this year. Now, most aren't projecting quarterly growth until the end of 2025, and that's not delayed gratification, that's moving goalposts while the game is still being played. Logan Reich from RBC Capital Markets pointed out the fundamental tension, balancing being a $100 billion company with wanting to create a local coffeehouse vibe while managing high-velocity mobile ordering. These aren't minor operational tweaks, they're contradictory business objectives going at each other. The competition isn't waiting at all for Starbucks to figure things out. Customers are actually switching to Dutch Brothers and 7 Brew, newer competitors that offer better service without the operational complexity. Meanwhile, traditional competitors continue gaining ground while Starbucks struggles with basic execution. Brian Mulberry from Zacks Investment Management sold his Starbucks holdings 2 years ago and is keeping the company on a watch list for another 12 months to see if progress materializes. When professional investors are treating you like speculative recovery play, your turnaround story has some serious credibility problems, as Starbucks does right now. Let's talk about customer experience. The improvements there remain inconsistent across locations. Mulberry noted that while product consistency is good, service consistency is still lacking whether you're in Manhattan or Indianapolis. For a company built on creating standardized experiences, this variability represents a fundamental operational failure. Some positive signs exist, though. The company posted its best ever U.S. sales week when pumpkin spice drinks returned last month, as you would expect, but seasonal spikes don't really indicate sustainable turnaround momentum, especially when underlying metrics continue declining. Perhaps most telling is the union situation. Starbucks Workers United represents more than 600 locations and has criticized management for abandoning bargaining negotiations. Niccol initially committed to working with the union, but talks collapsed several months after he joined. An August survey found that 91% of baristas reported understaffing issues at their stores. Now, I've never been in the coffee business, but I think that happy employees generally create happy customers, but Starbucks seems to be achieving neither objective effectively. Another international layer to this, the China situation, adds more complexity. The market represents $790 million in quarterly sales, but faces intense competition from Luckin Coffee and Coty Coffee, which offer discounted drinks that appeal to price-sensitive consumers. Starbucks is exploring selling part of its stake to local operators, with bidders reportedly valuing the unit at $5 billion. Niccol's ambitious vision includes growing from 8,000 stores to potentially 30,000 stores in China. But expanding in a market where you're struggling with basic competitiveness seems optimistic. The company has launched discount promotions and modified menus to compete with local bubble tea competitors, essentially admitting their premium positioning isn't working. And you're kind of seeing the same problems here in the United States. A lot of new coffee places coming up, a lot of bubble tea places coming up. Starbucks is definitely not the only game in town, and they're sometimes not even the cheapest game in town. The broader strategic question remains unanswered, though. Can Starbucks actually return to being a third place while maintaining the scale and efficiency required for a global corporation? The company built its success on creating consistent experiences across thousands of locations, but the third place concept requires local authenticity and personal connections that don't scale easily. I would point to another company we talked about earlier, like Barnes & Noble, who, despite being a large corporation, have still maintained some semblance of being a cozy neighborhood place. Niccol has teased innovation coming next year. Let's look to the future, including improved pastries and makeovers for roughly 1,000 US locations by the end of 2026. But these shout out to me as incremental improvements to a business model that might be broken. Adding more seating and better lighting won't really fix understaffing and operational complexity, and I don't know if the Starbucks near me can use a remodel. It's already been remodeled a few times and it looks pretty modern. It just kind of looks like a McDonald's. So maybe they're trying to bring out that cozy factor, I guess, with this new remodel. We'll see what happens. And the loyalty program overhaul presents another challenge. Niccol acknowledged that Starbucks rewards had become too focused on discounts, but restructuring a program that millions of customers depend on carries significant execution risk. Many analysts considered it the gold standard of rewards programs, so tampering with success rarely ends well, but good luck to them. The fundamental problem with Niccol's Starbucks turnaround is that it's trying to solve 2025 problems with 1990s solutions. Bringing back condiment bars and cup writing might create nostalgia, but they don't really address the core issues of operational efficiency, competitive positioning, and labor relations that created the crisis. Analysts are giving Niccol a solid B grade for his first year, but that's participation trophy territory for a CEO who was hired to transform one of America's most valuable brands. The enthusiasm that greeted his appointment has been replaced by patient skepticism, which is never a good sign for a transformational leadership. Whether Starbucks can actually get back to Starbucks remains an open question. The company has resources and brand recognition to succeed, but it also has operational complexity and cultural baggage that won't disappear through slogans and store renovations. For now, Starbucks remains a case study in how even the most experienced turnaround artists can struggle when the problems are deeper than anyone has anticipated before, and more caffeinated. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a whole bunch more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you tomorrow.
Guys, with the launch of Loop Marketing, Kip's giving you the ultimate prompt library. Over 100 AI prompts that walk you through each stage of the Loop Marketing method. They're designed to help you spot growth opportunities in an AI world. This isn't just another collection of prompts. It'll guide you into the new era of marketing. You can get it for free at the link in our show notes. Seriously, stop right now, look at those show notes, and tap that link. Here's what blows my mind. Most people are sitting around waiting for their boss to give them a raise, while millionaires are building income streams in their spare time. Entrepreneur and creator Marina McGilko cracked the code on this. She built more than 10 income streams that now pull in over $100,000 a month. She shared the secret sauce with our team, so now we're sharing it with you, exactly how she did it. This guide gives you practical step-by-step strategies you can actually implement. So just pick just one income stream from her guide and watch what happens. Stop what you're doing right now and grab it in the show notes 6 months from now, and you'll be glad you did.